This movie is going to be on the attributes of a triangle. The attributes. Did I say that wrong? Attributes. Thank you. No, I'm not going to restart. So, the attributes. Did I say that right? Okay. Attributes of a triangle. Attributes is good too. So, if you watch Mrs. Clark's videos, you'll find that all triangles, no matter how big, how small, all of these angles add up to 180 degrees. So, A plus B plus C, and you'll see that in a second, all done, equals 180. And that is the triangle theorem. So, all triangles add up to 180 degrees. So, I am working on your attributes of a triangle assignment. So, if we look at A, we have an isosceles triangle because two sides are exactly the same size. You know they're exactly the same size because of those tick marks. So if you see one set of tick marks, then that means that anything with this size, this tick mark, is exactly the same size. So then we have the inside of 122 degrees, and then an x degree and an x degree. So you're trying to figure out what is the measurement of x. So now our equations comes into play. So we know that all triangles equal 180 degrees. So 180 equals, and so what's inside the triangle? We have 120, we have an x and x. So, or 122 plus x plus x. So now we have our equation. First thing we have to do for equations is combine like terms or simplify. And yet piano opposite operations to solve, and then you're basically done. So looking at this equation, we have two x's, which means we're going to take those and we're going to combine them. So I put my line down the equal sign. We have 122 plus 2x. Okay, so now I want to try and get this x by itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the opposite. So if here's my x, what's the number farthest from x but on the same side? The 122. So what's the opposite of adding 122? Would be to subtract 122. So subtract 122. What you do to one side, you do to both. So subtract 122. Since these are the opposite operation, it goes away. I'm left with 2x. And 180 minus 122. Handy dandy calculator. We have a jazz player. Dad, you should see this. And that's 58. So now, 2x equals 58. To get the x by itself, I have to divide. So, divide by 2, divide by 2, x equals, all done, thank you. 58 divided by 2, all done, equals 29. Now, I'm not going to do all of these problems for you because you do need to be able to try this by yourself. I'm going to help you with C. So, I did A, which is x equals 29. If you were listening in on the conference Miss Clark had on Thursday, we talked about that one already, so it's nothing like we haven't covered. And then C, we have a right triangle. So, right triangles have a special angle, all done, which is 90 degrees. So, 2x plus 2. How do I know it's a 90 degree angle? Because it has that square. If it has the square, it's a 90 degree angle. So it doesn't have to say 90 right there. I know it's 90. I am going to write it in there though, so that way you guys can see it. And so now I know that the triangle theorem says all angles inside add up to 180 degrees. So now I'm going to make my equation. 180 equals all three triangles inside added together. So I have 68 plus 90 plus 2x plus 2. Okay? So, now I gotta find my like terms. There's only one number with x, but there are three other numbers. So I'm going to add all those like terms together. I'm going to simplify. So, I have 68 plus 90 plus 2. I got 160. So I have 160 plus 2x, and that equals 180. Now again, I want to get the x by itself, so the number farthest from the x on the same side is that 160. So the opposite of adding 160 would be to subtract 160. So minus 160 minus 160. I'm left with 20 equals 2x. And I'm not going to use my calculator for this last little part, because what times 2 gives me 20? Well, 20, or 2 times 10 equals 20. So what does x equal? 20, because it would make this side true to this side. So x equals 10. And that is your answer for C. So I gave you A and I gave you C. Now you're going to do B and D all by yourself. Now I gotta stop this recording.